Hola, Shibarmi, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estáis? Es todo un verdadero placer volver otra vez, ¿vale? Ya sabéis que hemos estado apartados unas semanitas de antena, básicamente porque he estado un poquito pochito. Hoy es un verdadero placer estar con todos vosotros, básicamente porque es de las primeras veces que estoy con mi compañero Abel, desde Estados Unidos. Y hoy, sobre todo, es un día muy especial para Shiba Televisión. Hoy tenemos con nosotros al primer, entre comillas, político que tenemos en la televisión. Ya sabéis que nosotros desde la tele no apoyamos causas políticas, pero sí que es verdad que el invitado que tenemos hoy se sale de la definición que entendemos por político, porque va mucho más allá. Él es Shannon Bray, es un personaje muy importante dentro del mundo de Shiba Inu, dentro de la Shiba Army. Muchísimos lo conocéis. Esta semana en la que he podido hablar de él un poco con mis compañeros, muchísimos le conocían y además son muy fans de Shannon. Así que, nada, de verdad, para nosotros es un placer entrevistar a alguien que tiene tantas y tantas cosas que decir sobre la descentralización, sobre la economía y sobre todo sobre lo que es ser Shiba Army y una de las cosas que más nos interesa a todos, que es la ciberseguridad. Yo voy a dejar la entrevista en americano con mi compañero Abel. Abel, ¿cómo estás?
Estamos muy bien, contentos de estar aquí presente. Disculpen si mi voz no está fina hoy. Estoy
Nah,
tratando
tu voz
de
siempre está perfecta.
de curarme de esta gripa que tengo, pero estamos muy contentos porque tenemos una personalidad muy importante aquí en Estados Unidos y se llama Shannon Bray. Él ha hecho mucho específicamente en lo que es de cripto y está apoyando todo lo que es crypto related y tiene sus propias organizaciones y ha sido un fiel servidor a Shiba Inu desde el inicio. Y estamos orgullosos de tenerlos aquí presente para preguntarle su visión y cosas que puede él hacer estando en el Congreso, estando en el Congreso, básicamente en la política. So, estamos muy contentos y ahorita
Estamos
lo
muy
voy a decir
orgullosos.
en inglés para la audiencia americana y hacer esta entrevista para que la entiendan. Y si tienen alguna pregunta o algo así, aquí está Iván, él también lo puede contestar o hay
Genial.
otros moderadores que van a estar presentes que pueden contestar las
Sí.
preguntas también.
Yo lo que quiero que entendáis un poquito es que nuestra visión de descentralización y nuestra visión de televisión es unir estas dos lenguas, ¿no? Y llegar al máximo posible de Shibarmi, ¿no? Que es de lo que se trata. Somos Shibarmi, somos comunidad y no somos un país, ni somos dos, ni somos tres. Somos una comunidad. No hay fronteras, no hay banderas y creo que Shannon tiene muchas cosas que decir sobre eso. Así
Sí.
que yo por mí, encantado. Sergio, ¿le pasamos al invitado?
So, for the
Así
people that
que,
speak
nada.
English, we are proud to have here Shannon Bray, Congressman from North Carolina. How you doing?
I'm
Hi,
doing well.
Shannon. How are you?
So we are excited because this is the first interview that we do with someone in the field of politics, and traditionally that's seen as a cautionary type of interview. But because Shannon Bray is not your traditional politician either, he is actually a Navy veteran. He served the military, obviously, but also a cybersecurity. Cybersecurity was his field of duty there, or his MOS for those people that don't that have been a part of the military. How was your experience being in the military, and how did that shape you to becoming a politician?
Well, that's an interesting question. So I was actually in the military from '92 to '97, before we had a cybersecurity program, and I was a Navy diver. In fact, that was the only years I didn't touch a computer. So when I was 8, I got my first computer. It was a Timex Sinclair 1000. It was about the size of your cell phone, flat buttons, and it was garbage compared to anything that your calculators would do now. But I went to college. I started out in college, and it wasn't working out for me. I was heavily religious, I guess. Under my family kept me sheltered, I guess. I got into college, found women, and was like, oh, and just didn't do well my first year. So then I needed to find a different direction in life, and I found the Navy. Went into the Navy for 7 years. The only computer I touched was a dive computer. And then when I got out, the internet was just about to be born. I mean, for most
Whoa.
people. We're talking. This is still early, just DDSs, and most people were just the only internet was chatting. There weren't even pictures at
Yeah.
that time. But now we've evolved, right? And then since then, I went to work for the federal government. I worked for DoD as a cybersecurity analyst. So I've seen activities coming in and out of our country. There are events that I've been very proud to be part of that are classified. But it's a beautiful world. Now, that's completely different though than the world of politics, because at that time I was like, I was eating the blue and the red pills, right? I was just whatever the government was telling me, I was feeding it. I was eating it, right? I was.
Right?
I went to war for them. I lost my friends for them, and then all of a sudden, I realized that they were lying to me. That the government wasn't good, that the Fed wasn't good, that the monetary standards in the United States weren't stable, that we weren't on the gold standard. And what did that actually mean? Oh, that means we are just making stuff up. So then it came down to the study of currencies. And then I got into crypto. And I always heard this stuff about, well, and I knew about crypto from Bitcoin and stuff, but that wasn't really, that wasn't my match, right? It was the microcurrencies that lit me on
Yeah.
fire. So when I'm looking at it and I see, I'm on Twitter and I just see everybody's like, hey, check out Shib. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm day trading at the time. I'm like, I'm looking at the chart going, why would I invest in that? But then I was just like, I must have been hounded by 3,000 people in a day on Twitter. And all of a sudden, just boom. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. The SHIB Army just lined up and attacked me. So I did it based off of like sure, why not? Let's see. It was kind of a joke, right? Like SHIB started, kind of a joke. Until it wasn't a joke anymore, right?
Yeah.
Until all of a sudden I'm actually able to take money and give it to people in need and start a campaign off almost nothing. SHIB's not a joke. And then it was jumping through all the SHIB spaces, right? There was like 20 of them at any given time. And I would just jump in and I would just listen from all over the world. And a lot of times I had to like try to translate what people were saying. But I'm trying to record the audio, and I work for Microsoft. I have like translation services and stuff that are trying to keep me involved with people. SHIB was all of a sudden I went all in. Not only did I all go all in, but then I started taking 401k money and putting it into SHIB.
Yeah, I
And
did
then
the same.
I know we're up six figures easy in a week, right? And then it was like, oh my goodness, what else can we do, right? And so that lit the fire. And of course, we had a pullback, not a pullback, a collapse of the crypto market. But it showed me the power of the community of SHIB, right? I met people from all across the world through SHIB. Melissa B. She's a Grammy Award singer who I didn't know before SHIB, and her and I are like friends now. There's a lot of people out there that are just. I have friends around the world because of the SHIB community that I would have never met, and it changed my life. I mean, to SHIB changed. I mean, it's the reason why I work for Blue Sparrow. Right, because of the SHIB community, Blue Sparrow's like, who's this guy? Well, he's leading the SHIB Army. Let's see if we can have him help us, right? So they brought me in because of SHIB. So all of my cryptocurrency involvement is because the SHIB Army decided to elevate me, not because of anything else.
It's so crazy too, because Shiba Inu has, well, myself has. My dad would be dead right now if it weren't for Shiba Inu. No joke. So he has, still prostate cancer, and it metastasized through his pituitary gland all the way to his brain, and he was given literally months to live. And so there was a procedure that I could pay for outside of this country to help him. It's run by the U.S., but they don't run it here in the U.S. for what reasons. It'll take much longer. And so we ended up going to this location. He got treated there for 30 days, and all that was funded by SHIB. And cancer treatments are not easy. I ended up spending just in that month somewhere around $300,000. Wow. But I'm happy to say that it's been a year. My dad's still alive, and I'm not just saying it helped me in that regard. It helped me, have my entire family back together and help my mom also pay off her house. So Shiba Inu has been very, very good, in our family and to a lot of people. And one of the things that I like about the Shiba Inu community is that it's only been a little over 2 years, right? And a lot of these platforms, especially when it comes to altcoins or even a new coin, they never come in with full utility. And even when they have a roadmap, it may take years to get there. Look, perfect example. I mean, look what happened to Solana, and that's supposed to be one of the OGs. And
it's a premiere, right? That's what they're saying.
And so the fact that Shiba Inu is fully decentralized and that they're trying to create an ecosystem within its own environment, to me, that's the safest way to go. And it allows for anyone that wants to create or start a business decentralized to be done with Shiba Inu. And so for me, the stigma or the meme token alias that's been given to it, you could take it either way. Sure, people will call it a meme coin, and by that means, okay, fine. But one thing that cannot be overseen is the fact that we've stayed under the top 15 or within the top 15. If we are truly a meme coin, wouldn't we be, in the thousands? No. So what I'm saying is the popularity of Shiba Inu, made Shiba Inu explode. So what I'm trying to say with this is we knew that Shiba Inu was something that everyone else got in. It was probably their only avenue to get into crypto. And if Shiba Inu didn't do the right thing and didn't incorporate or add any more function or utility, then you would probably end up losing a lot of these people that are invested in crypto. So the way that I see
it, without the utility, it would have died. Without Shy coming in and saying, "Hey, let's do Shibarium and let's add the metaverse," and all, it would have been a joke and death. But
exactly.
if people say that they screwed it up, I say that they saved it. Because a token without utility now is a junk, right?
Yeah.
We're not talking 3 years ago when we can just buy whatever.
Exactly. And so the way that I see it, Doge and Shiba Inu introduced more, and I was looking at some of the numbers here, it ranges, but anywhere from 30 to 55% of our current 5% vested people in the world came from just these two tokens. I was just reading and that was crazy. I'm like, so you mean to tell me that if SHIB didn't come in or Doge, our current adoption would be somewhere around the 2.8 to 3.1%. So are we truly a meme if we are bringing you the masses so that the other blue chips also benefit? So in my mind, I'm like, well, people are not really seeing how Shiba Inu is impacting the crypto business. And the good thing about this is that they continued to build because they saw this. They're not dumb. The team at Shiba Inu understands the fundamentals, and especially when it comes to crypto adoption and coming from what they consider a meme coin, this was huge. And this will continue to be huge. As long as this continues in that platform or in that path and allows the community to be involved more like they are doing, then I see Shiba Inu within the top 5 in 5 years minimum. That's how I see it, at least. But
yeah, well, I definitely see it in the top 10 within the next bull run. I've seen it in the top 5 once it gets established. Once crypto gets established, I see Shiba's the top 5 because of the global market of it, right? It's not like Crow has a market, and we have like different pockets for different tokens, right? What was that one that they're gonna hate me because I'm struggling with the name? Saitama, right? Saitama was like a US coin, and then you had, all these other ones that were non-US based. But she took over because it was heavy in India. Dating back to the India drive. But I only say that based off of the people that were following me, and I saw the maps light up. But yeah, huge in India and in the Middle East and in Europe and in South America. And when you see all these people who are looking at your next tweet, you're like, that's a ton of people. That's showing you like the market, and that made me want to invest more, right? As I saw people just following based off of SHIB, because it wasn't about like Protex or it wasn't about politics. It wasn't about anything. It was the SHIB ones that blew up, and I'd have anywhere between 100 to 1,000 retweets on. That's insane.
That is crazy.
But in October, November last year, it was like I could sneeze and get 1,000 retweets.
It was crazy. You're right, because after the first collapse with the China banning mining, and it tanked like 50 or 60% within hours, if I remember correctly. I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, I lost money there, but I had already made a ton before. So at that point, I was kind of thinking, I'm like, in the stock market traditionally, they have their ups and downs. So what I ended up doing is I actually ended up accumulating as it was going down, and I was getting scared because it kept going down. But then all of a sudden, boom, it went up, and I'm like, oh yes! So I nailed it. But it was one of those. You get scared, obviously, when you start seeing the little extra zeros in your wallet, and then all of a sudden you don't see them anymore because something's going down. So yeah, it was exciting. I'm telling you, trading in crypto, you need to have some hard skin, You need to stay up quite a bit and make sure that you learn everything there is, because wow, one little mistake and you've lost it all. You know, so.
So there's different ways to trade, and I actually trade different methodologies at the same time. So I have the day trader in me to where I use the Bluebet IO for that, because I can use the MT5 and it puts my entry exits and profit targets so that it's like I'm trading. But then I also do the exchanges, right, to where I buy and hold. And then my only goal is to accumulate as many tokens as possible. Don't care about the price. Like it's all about owning 2 billion SHIB or 4 billion SHIB or 2,000 Crow, right? It's all about the number of tokens, because you know it's going to be good. And that's where you get the 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. Right,
Exactly.
because they know the utility of Bitcoin, they know it's coming back, and they're like, the US dollar doesn't matter. We don't care what it says Bitcoin's worth. Bitcoin is worth 1 Bitcoin. And that's the same thing that we're looking at here in the microeconomics, but it's a little different. Right now, we're looking at a million SHIB or a million SHIB, right? Or, but it allows people to play in a market and buy a million shares of something and hope, right?
Yeah.
And hope that it reaches $1. And I know they get upset when people say, "Oh, it may never reach $1." Well, you know what? Buy another million in. Now you're cutting it in half. You know, buy a million, and then you're definitely gonna win. But
That's true.
yeah, it's just get, as long as you're collecting it with good projects, right?
Yeah,
You obviously don't want to go collect. People are gonna hate me, but like, I don't know, baby Doge, right? You hear about it, but what's the utility in baby Doge? But you just keep collecting as many tokens as possible, and when you see that big red candle, buy more. It's the mentality that's different. Now, if you're not looking at the number of tokens and you're looking at the price in your current currency, and things tank, well, that's anxiety. And you said you were going to hold it forever anyway. What difference does it make what it says the price is? Right?
That's true.
Give us a year to turn it around. We all know crypto goes up and down. Use the downside. I mean, how many of us last year at this time were going, "Man, I wish I got
some more." Yeah. and now we have the chance. Now we have that chance. It's funny that you mentioned this conversation here. So my family, I've gotten everyone in SHIB, but obviously the family for Thanksgiving was like, "Hey, so what's going on? Did you have money on FTX? Are you all right?" And I'm like, "Look, first of all, FTX. I apologize. It is a sensitive subject. I know a lot of my friends lost money, and a lot of people. And for those people, I hope you guys get your money back. But I never trusted FTX to begin with, and I don't do those types of trades either. I don't do leverage or once in a while, but I stay to my wallet. And I stick to what I know and I'm familiar. I do day trade, swing trade as well, but I don't do it as often anymore, because it's not. In order to do an actual successful swing trade or day trade, you're having to put in quite a bit of capital and be on the lookout or set your parameters so that you don't lose out. And sometimes right now it's too hard to see the 2-3% when it's going sideways, and sometimes it's just not worth it. So I'm not put in quite a bit on anything like that. But what I'm doing is accumulating SHIB and bone, and actually want to get into leash as well. But with all that being said, I do have a question from let's see, Jose 986, and he's asking, it says, how does it look from your political point of view when a country, we won't say names, but we all know them, criminalizes the crypto economic world? Ooh, that's an interesting question there. Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
That's an excellent question. So here, the crypto market isn't necessarily leading the black market, right? And let me explain to you why. I did special operations in the Navy, and I saw US dollars on pallets be pushed out of C-130s.
Same
That
here.
right there is undetectable. It will go into the dark trade and it will fuel the next set of terrorists. In fact, that's exactly what that money did. Now, Bitcoin is not anonymous. It's pseudo-anonymous, right? If you kind of know where the wallets are, you're able to track it. I say Bitcoin, but I mean all cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
It's not like we can go off and send money to that arms dealer that Biden just let out, and it not be trackable. So it is definable, it is trackable, and once and the government is already putting out all of the little salts in the crypto market so that people click on them and identify who they are through, it's tricky, right? You get all this little speckles of tokens and you don't know what they're for, but yet you're trading it, you're selling it, and then you move on, and now the government knows that it's your wallet and all of that. There's a lot of things going on that people don't realize. And we have to focus on the decentralization aspect because we don't want crypto to fall in the hands of government. I mean, we have the CDBCs and all that stuff that are trying to create now, right? The government-controlled cryptos. Crypto isn't about a fiat currency. It's not about inflation. It's not about the trap we're currently in. It's about getting out of the trap that the government, all of our governments are doing. I mean, when you look at Venezuela, when they collapsed, right, their dollar went to nothing. They ended up going to Bitcoin. And at least now their citizens can trust the tokenomics of Bitcoin, right? Where you can't trust it of the dollars. And like the US dollar. I mean, we're just constantly printing more money, sending it over to Ukraine, and it's constantly causing inflation. I mean, we see inflation going up, and they bring in all these IRS people saying that they're going to try to help us. And all it's doing is sending more money to the Ukraine, and all we're doing is getting screwed. We got to fix this, right? We got to be decentralized. The dollar's going to collapse. As a politician, I know this. I'm trying to go out and tell other people that we have to be careful of the Fed. Know what the Fed is. And for the people in Spain and Europe, and the Fed affects you too, right? These 12 banks or whatever, they decide interest rates that affect the world.
Yeah.
And it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. We got to be decentralized. And I'm sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent there.
No, trust me. If there's one thing that I constantly talk to a lot of my friends about, and even family members, it's in regards to the Feds and in regards to inflation rates and tax hikes. And a lot of people don't understand what the CPI index is or inflation rates or anything like that. But they have to understand that the world looks at one market only, and that is the US. And so if the US does something, the rest of the market and the world tend to follow. And so anything that we do reflects around the world. So that effect is huge. Now, how do you see yourself, or how can we adopt crypto more than currently? Right now, we're sitting at roughly around 5%. How do we get crypto adoption to the masses more effectively, in your opinion? Or how would you do it?
Well, we're working on it now. It's a lot of I think we would have probably been at 10% now if we didn't have such a bad year, right? Because we were growing so much. We went like 1 to 5% almost in that last bull run.
Yeah. Basically, we actually went faster than the initial adoption of the internet.
Yes, yeah. So, and I think that's going to continue. Just like I think it's going to follow that exponential curve up. But there's a couple issues. You have the people who are scared, right? Who aren't researching it and who believe that we're fostering drug deals and selling children. Yeah. And then you also have the people like the guy I lost my race to, U.S. Senator Ted Budd in North Carolina, who was one of 2 Republicans who backed FTX, who said that we don't need to investigate them. 5 Democrats, 2 Republicans, all got funding from FTX, all been bought by that, and all have been laid out. So we have the U.S. politics being bought by scamming companies. So no, the government cannot help us because the people are too weak and they don't have any honor, right? FTX could have been
I feel like
stopped.
they don't understand it either.
No,
I feel
it's like it was bullshit from the beginning, and nobody. What? Yeah. So those 7, and I put out a tweet like last week about it, but those 7 senators, one of them being mine, who said no, FTX is cool, let them ride. There's U.S. politics interfering with crypto right there, because that's the central exchanges should be regulated. The decentralization, nothing. We shouldn't have any regulation on that. But we want to make sure that we're not getting screwed.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. It's like, how do you find a balance where the government steps in to regulate, but not over-regulate, or do we not regulate at all? So we have these two fronts that we need to figure out, right? And so one of the things that I've always been analyzing per se, and seeing how can we approach more people, or how can we make it a little bit safer to go and purchase, something on Uniswap, or better yet, how do we come up with a system where instead of I could create a smart contract right now in my own token, right, and put it in there. We need to have a platform or something that when you do submit a contract, it actually vets it, meaning it studies its fundamentals. It looks for bugs, because a lot of these contracts, 98% or 99% of them are all scams or honeypots or things like that. But I feel like if they wanted to help, if the government wanted to help, one way that they could, and a lot of people might have some resistance to this, but in my opinion, if they had a way to vet Uniswap or all these decentralized exchanges, where they could see a form that this here new token or coin has been vetted, free of flaws. Now, if something happens after the fact because it didn't deliver, I understand they can't control that. But at the very minimum, the people that have lost the most money is not the rich. It's actually the poor, because the poor are trying to adapt to learn these new methods of investing, and because they don't know, they'll go in and put their $300-500, and then all of a sudden they can't sell, or someone pulled their funds. So if they really want to make a dent, in my opinion, with crypto, the number one thing would be education. I would go as far as even schools need to implement one way of learning alternate currencies, not just your fiat system. Why? Because the futures are kids, and they're going to be a lot better than we are, because this technology is there already. And so I feel like if education became a focal point to learn crypto adoption, that would be huge. Second of all, to protect and still not be regulated, as much, is why don't the government go to these companies and make sure that they have the tools, and also maybe a system in which they could vet each one of these shit contracts? Because if 98% of those are affecting one demographic itself, then maybe we start there. Instead of trying to fix the top to bottom, we start from the bottom top. And this is where I feel like politics fails a lot. It always goes towards saving the macro, and they forget about the micro. And so that would be one of my two. I mean, there's a lot more that I would do, but my two initial things, if I was a politician and I had any sort of pull per se, I would try to vouch for that, at least the simple thing. And actually, that would be the simplest way of at least conforming to one aspect that's affecting this demographic.
Yeah, and what you said is extremely important, because then you're focusing on the micro aspect, right? And then we're no longer talking about inflation, and we're no longer talking about how your bread's going up every week and your gas going up every week, and you have no control over it, and you're losing money by saving it, right? That's what the fiat systems and stuff do. So I 100% agree with you. I believe in education over regulation. A lot of people are coming in, they get burned because they just make decisions fear of missing out's a big thing. But I also factor that in. I mean, when I'm day trading, if I'm like, look, if it hits 12, I ain't selling because I know it's going to go hit 12.5 because all these people are going to jump in, right? So so that does become a factor in my trading. But the people who get exploited are typically the poor because when they buy, they get focused on the negative prices and stuff, right? Oh my God, I lost money, right? Instead of, oh my God, I bought 1 million Shiba tokens. And you know what? I got them for $800. You know what? This week I got them for $600. That's awesome, right? That's the mentality they need to have, because then when it's $10,000, now they have it. But they're the first ones who sell out, right? They buy and they're like, oh my God, I made a mistake. And then they sell and they they capture that loss. And it's and education is everything.
And that's hard. I feel like I get it. Blockchain it's not as new of a technology now, but it is a complicated one for those that have never been in this field. But I wanted to ask you a question in regards to if this is something that could be implemented. And the only reason why I'm asking you in this regard, because you're in that on that side of the spectrum. But you know how when you're driving a vehicle, you pay for insurance. In California, it's mandatory. I don't know if everywhere in the U.S., but if there was an insurance company per se that users such as us would like to protect their assets. So say I had $100,000 worth of SHIBA INU, and there's I'm just gonna say Chase, just because it's something that's easy to represent. Say Chase Financial Services has now an insurance policy for crypto, so you pay a monthly payment of, I don't know, $20, and it'll protect you up to this amount. I feel like if there was like an insurance company, and that's another way of making money as well, more business, but it also gives you a little more sense of, protected, or you're protected from losing your assets. But this is done already almost on anything, like your phone. You pay assurance, or insurance. I forget the company name, but assurance, and you get, your phone back, and you pay a deductible. Could that be something implemented for crypto in itself? Because FDIC insurance, that is paid by the banks, right? There's a percentage that goes to pay for that insurance for the government, if I understand that correctly, right?
Yeah, but here's how the FDIC works. And to be honest with you, they're one of the few ones that I kind of like because they're functional, but you'll see how greedy they are. So FDIC, you're at a bank, your bank's starting to fail. The FDIC will come in and buy you out, and now it's a government-owned bank. And so then they'll do whatever they've got to do to manipulate that. But there's so many government-owned banks now because of the FDIC, right? It's all part of the government arm, and it's not as free market as people think it is. But that's why we have all the fees and everything. And now they're starting to charge more. As soon as they identify anything with crypto, they'll like double the fee. Like if you're trying to come from Robinhood or Crypto.com or Coinbase or whatever, Binance or any of those other cards, right? A lot of people aren't even taking them because the banks are pushing. Well, not Robinhood. Robinhood has been kind of established as a stock commodity thing.
Yeah,
so they're not
SEC and all that, yeah.
Yeah, but the rest of them, like Coinbase and crypto and Binance, and all, their cards are listed as prepaid, and they're under attack. Sometimes it's hard to pay with those. But I think that's all federal banks and regulations playing.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because yesterday I was actually trying to pay with my card, and I know I had money on that, but some ATMs and some locations still do not support that function, or the card in itself. I don't know, but I did notice that quite a bit. But Coinbase did one thing though that I think is actually pretty good, and if other companies followed suit, I think it could also give that sense of security a little bit better. So they started charging, what is it, $29.99 or $19.99 for Coinbase One. I use it, and the trades are free for the most part. And when I say for the most part, because there's still some money that gets taken away, but it's not that much. But it also insures you. It insures your funds. So I believe it's up to $500,000. So if Coinbase is doing something like this, why couldn't that be available commercially on a private party and not a decentralized exchange? That way, I would feel more comfortable than even the actual centralized exchange, because you already know what's been going on with centralized exchanges. But if I had a third party, say Chase Insurance Services, whatever, I would trust that more than I would from the centralized exchange. Now, down the line, as it gets more mature and we start seeing, everything running its course naturally, then yeah, it could be an adoption. It could be something that could be more trusted. But I feel like if they started to offer a sort of a insurance policy for crypto to back yourself up for such events of losing it or the company goes under, you're a little bit more protected. And it doesn't require a mass amount of money, even as a business. Look, car insurances, how many times have any one of us crashed or been in an accident? It's the same theory, same concept, the same for healthcare. Those bills are exceedingly expensive and we pay a premium every month. Why couldn't that be offered for the financial institution, especially for crypto? Do you think that something like this could be actually, monetized or become a business in the US?
Yeah, I think so. One of the things a lot of people don't know is that crypto or that Coinbase actually got a government contract with the
Yeah.
U.S. government. So, and they're also in charge of the bank in California somewhere. That's a crypto bank for all the C's, keys, and all of that. That the FBI and all of them. So Coinbase is heavily involved in security. Their security is quite nice. I trust them. And I think they're
Yeah,
great. But they're also going to be that middleman in between government regulation and you. So you just have to accept that. But they are what they are. But there are other companies out there that may not be as rigorous on the regulations.
I
But
see.
Coinbase will always be rigorous.
Got it. So I do have a question from another viewer here, and he's asking, how does the CBDCs, especially in the US, once they, actually they're already developing, I don't know when it's going to be released yet, but if that becomes something that the US does standardize and it becomes available to the US, do you see that affecting crypto, or do you see it as a benefit for crypto? Especially,
I think it's going to it's almost a coin flip. Here's why it would benefit. It would give the people who have always been naysayers about crypto confidence to come in because now it's government backed. They're coming in under false pretenses though, right? They're not coming in with the same mentality that crypto holders are supposed to have. So ultimately, I think they're going to hurt the market. They're going to come in because they're invited and they feel safe. It's going to make us all, we're going to have profits. But then I think there's going to be some manipulation through that may hurt crypto in the long run. So I think it's really going to be about the people. Look, it's really about the anarchists. I ran on an anarchist platform for the government, right? For the people, and it's for the people around the world. You can't stop crypto, but the government is going to put some speed bumps, and those CDBCs and stuff are their speed bumps.
Yeah, and I was reading an article in which it was interesting. It was being studied as an outside looking in from a third party that's not involved with politics or finance, and what they were uncovering or seeing basically in their study is that the world, especially all the banks, all the heads of states and everything and presidents, are realizing that our fiat system is completely broken. Even if the entire world and its citizens forked up their fiat, it would not be enough to pay all the debt that we have. So with that being said, we're already setting ourselves for a huge loss or a huge event down the future. In this study, it was actually talking about how the governments knew this and support crypto, but they want it their way. And because they were not going to be able to fulfill all the obligations of the fiat system, and that they foresee within the next 10 to 15 years that the fiat system is just going to be completely gone for several reasons, but that crypto will become a standard. The only issue that they were having is how this would be steered, especially when the government gets involved in utilizing its CBDCs. And so one of the people one of the professors there that was doing the study had suggested the following: is like, so imagine that CBDCs is your middleman. It is the one that is your USDC per se, or USDT. You're transacting in crypto. You do all that you do, decentralized or centralized, no matter. But in order for you to utilize your funds, it has to be turned into the CBDC, which will be the equivalent of a USDC. And if they did it in this manner, that it could actually be beneficial, and it could also be a negative thing. Beneficial because this ends up being the end result. And so when you're about to pay for something, it's easier to track for tax purposes and all your purchases, right? Because this is the only way that you'll be able to transact. It sucks because then you're limiting everything else in crypto, how you would pay directly with crypto. But they're trying to come up with that direction where the decentralized platform, they can't really regulate. I mean, it would be almost impossible. There's certain things that they could restrict, but in theory, you can't really do a whole lot there. But at least on the centralized aspect, to have the CBDCs work along with cryptos, this was one of those studies that was seen as a 60% success rate, and that was like the best of the several of these studies. Do you agree with something like that? Do you think that having to exchange all your crypto in order to be converted to a CBDC? In my opinion, I don't like it. But what would be?
It does a lot of things to destroy crypto. First, it's going to identify all your wallets that you interact with, right? So it's going to take away the pseudo-anonymous aspects of it. But now it's completely government controlled. And now you can start being, as long as they own the blockchain, they can start taxing you based off the blockchain, right? So it's going to give them a way into all your micro purchases. Like right now, the IRS is going after for $600. But if they own the blockchain, they can go after you for $2, right? So if it's government owned, no, it has to be decentralized. It has to be. There is nothing that can exist in a pure world that is controlled by a government.
Yeah, see, and that's what I thought when I was reading this. I was like, oh man, this is almost like I don't see the good in this, to be honest. I get it. The initial good would be that a lot of people are going to jump into this, but then they're going to realize that now the governments can monitor your expenses and pull the money whenever they need to if you're not paying for taxes.
And that's it. Right? Like Canada, right? They weren't able to take people's Bitcoin, but they were able to freeze them at the exchanges.
Yeah.
They can take your property, just like right now. I mean, I'm here living in North Carolina. The government can come in, take my property because I didn't pay my property taxes, and just throw me out in the street. So I don't even own my house, right? I don't own anything, right? The government can come and take it. You don't have property rights. Crypto, buying SHIB, you have property rights. You have something that nobody can take away from you. And that's the value and the beauty of crypto, because we're not just talking about money here. We're talking about NFTs. We're talking about how they interact with other systems, and how your driver's licenses and your degrees and all of that become NFTs, and how everything becomes blockchain transactional across the world. It's not just buying a t-shirt with SHIB. We're talking about changing the world dynamic at a huge ecosystem because of SHIB.
Yeah, and see that, and that's where more or less I was thinking about. I was like, wow, if this turns into what the government wants to do in regards to CBDCs, that's going to be. I see it as a negative thing. I don't see it as it's going to stop crypto, but I see it as a negative thing in terms of your privacy. Whatever you would like to do with your funds. Like, I just had my car repaired, which, by the way, also took like a month because of services not being available 100%, or parts from Germany or the world per se. But I was trying to pay using my debit card. It was a little over $3,000 for this part that I needed to put on my car. And so I went there and they had, their traditional banking system. And I tried to pay with my card and my bank would not allow me to pay up to that amount because they put a limit as to how much I spend. I'm like, I have
500 or 2,000 in a
yeah,
day.
and I'm like, wait a minute, I have a lot more. This shouldn't be a problem. I showed the app and I'm like, can you call your merchant? And so they called the merchant and yeah, they put a restriction, not on my card. The merchant account can only take up to a certain amount from a debit card. And so I told him, I'm like, are you guys into crypto? He's like, oh yeah, no, yeah, definitely. Can I just pay you in crypto right now? 1 second. Hell yeah, was their response. So I paid my repair with crypto. And see, that alone, that ease of use, because I was on the phone with my bank, by the way, which is USAA, So help the military? Anyways, but she called her merchant account that came from Bank of America. So we got two huge institutions controlling what you own. I don't like that. I want to spend my money however way I want to spend it. I want to invest it however way I want to spend it. I don't want it to be like China, where they can even control where you can purchase things or how expensive this item was, and you shouldn't buy that. You should use that to control what you're actually eating and where you're going. See, if we allow that to continue, then are we truly in the land of the free?
Nope.
Are we truly utilizing our money, the money that we earned, the way that we want to? No. And so that's why for us, it was important to find, especially in politics, people that support crypto. And especially, individuals like you that actually not just support it, you guys live it, you do it, you practice it, and you see the benefit on this. How can, as a citizen, how can we go and push this agenda per se, if we wanted adoption and education of crypto? As a citizen of the United States, how do we approach our congressmen or senators or even higher officials that we could make a dent?
We don't approach them. We have to find people we trust and elect them. We cannot trust the people that are in charge right now because they'll lie to us anyway, right? We want people like myself who see the vision, who believe in the vision, and who are trying to push it forward and not just trying to make, quick dollars here and there. And I think you're only going to get that, with the people who are liberty focused versus corporate, America and stuff.
I see. It's funny. I knew this, but I wanted everyone else to listen to this because it's been this hard. Hence why ShibaTV, Lads Reforestation, Shiba Sequoia Forest, and Shiba Sequoia Forest, Shiba Sequoia Foundry, and Stories with us, and potentially, if all goes well, even Wellies, we are tackling an entire city. Actually, it's two, but we're going to start with one, where the mayor and every elected official is pro-crypto. So currently we're in talks with Now Payments to have technicians go over there and start setting up or at least educating the storefronts, all the businesses, and even the mayor's office and all that to accept payments in crypto. Not only that, but we're having a festival there in August 30th to September 4th, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And within that festival, carnival, events, vendors, everything's going to be done. But we're going to transact, and the majority will be using Shiba Inu, but in essence, cryptocurrency. If we wanted to, and the reason why we wanted to do this is because it's kind of like a pilot study. Because I've done festivals for the Vans Warped Tour, or been a part of it for about 6 years. 4 of them I was knees deep into that, but I learned quite a bit. So there's a city here, Pomona, that is the equivalent of your worst city, one of your worst cities, in the U.S. And so when we decided to do these events with the Vans Warped Tour, we started bringing in some celebrities that weren't that big, but it caught on. We were having anywhere from 60 to 120,000 people. So the income derived from a festival on just one day on 100,000 people, which I understand not everyone's going to get 100,000. This is here in LA, so you'll get that and more. The revenue generated after paying all expenses and everything was somewhere around $4.6 to $5.2 million. 10% we gift the city, and all the businesses that are there were making money hands over fist. So what I'm trying to say is that we ended up doing this successfully over and over on cities that needed the help and the support. And not a single time did we go into the red. In fact, we were doubling our profits. So what we want to do as a whole, and ShibaTV and all our entities that are collaborating with us, we want this to be a pilot study for other cities to see. And so we're going to be on televising all this. We have a couple of stations too that I've been talking to, like CNN. Pablo, si me escuchas, from CNN and NBC, by the way, that we would like for everyone to come here and record and see how successful this event is and what it can do to an economy that has been down in dirt, basically, in that town, and how we could actually revamp a city that was left in the old ways and wants to conform to the new technologies and new ways. They started this adoption last year, and they've already started cleaning up the city to an extent that if they had continued the way that they were, say, 3 years, right now would probably be a ghost town. So they are doing every effort possible to get it modernized and to bring the younger demographic in for more business and things like that. So in essence, becoming a crypto hub. How likely do you see this pilot, say for instance, everything went successfully, if other cities took notice to what we are doing there, especially with crypto and the success of crypto, do you think that would translate into more adoption to other cities? Would your city be interested in something like this if we were to work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, one of the things that are on my plate is whether I'm going to run for lieutenant governor for the state of North Carolina in the next election. But if I did, one of the things I want to introduce is very similar to what you're talking about, like the Miami coin, right? Or the city coins, I think they're called, but Miami has adopted it. The same kind of methodology to where either they're DAOs or, cryptocurrencies. And I think we can definitely build community utility around markets like that. And then, I mean, it can be broken down into toll roads, right? To where we're no longer paying, you still pay tolls, but you maybe the Dow toll, right? And so I bought into it, so now I get a little price off every little car that comes through, right? And so that's the kind of stuff that we can do is remove a lot of the government taxes and add real utility. Schools, right? We can do schools through crypto. And parents are paying like little tuitions or whatever, and the people who are making a little money off, and then you're not burdening the senior citizens and stuff with their tax dollars, right? It's hyper focused. Everything can fit into a nice thing once you take all the greed out of it. But unfortunately, politicians are greedy. All they want is power. And nobody is fighting for the individual person. And that's what our job is, right? Me as a politician, all I care about is the individual. I want to make sure you're treated well, you're treated fairly, and that you're not going to be mistreated just because someone comes in and who the government thinks is better than you. Speaking of which, I'm a little pissed off. I'm going to make it publicly known about the whole basketball trade. And leaving a Marine behind, Mr. Biden, but that's on another talk show, I guess.
Yeah, that was Well,
sorry, I have a question for you, Shannon, of our Spanish community. This is how it works with decentralization, with quantic programmation. Who are the most fastest in use that? The good guys or bad guys?
Oh, I mean, there's good and bad guys on both sides. That sounds terrible because it sounds like a Trump quote, but it's mostly good, right? I mean, look at the users in SHIB, right? You can't take the quantity of people and tell me any of them are bad when all they're looking out for is their family and their community and, helping India and helping charities and helping wellies. I mean, it's all about community giving, right? So you can't take them and put them in that bucket. Now, if I wanted to buy some arms or whatever, With Bitcoin, I can probably do that, but I would hope that I could do it anyway with the Second Amendment. And what if I wanted to buy drugs with it? Well, kind of hope that I can do that anyway, because I don't want people regulating what I can and can't do. I don't really know what illegal means. If somebody else is telling me I can't do it,
Yo, that's good.
I make decisions.
No, but it's crazy. We have a technology now that if people didn't see it, as a method of greed, and when I say people, is usually the people that have money, because they know and they'll see a vulnerability and take advantage of the people that don't understand or don't have the means to do any trade effectively or the understanding of this. Say, 4 years from now, we want to adopt crypto, but currently the methodology that we're doing is not working. If say you were elected, now I'm not, and this is all hypothetical. I want to see more or less what a process would take, even when you're in power, for crypto adoption. Say for instance, you became president, a hypothetical. How hard is it for when you're in power? I know you still have to go through through Congress, the Senate, and all these other things. But how hard or feasible is it for the president to have that agenda? So if you came in and you're already crypto, you're 100% crypto, how would you go about, I guess, convincing the rest of your staff or the rest of the people that don't like it, especially the Democrats? How do you convince them that this technology here is something that does not need to be reinvented by the government, and utilize this to offset what they already clearly effed up, which is fiat?
I'd abolish the Fed. That would be my first move.
Yeah,
Falls into play.
yeah, and you know what?
Of a pen, the Fed is gone. And then right now we're falling under a decentralized world, and everything will fall apart. That's really what I would do. To be honest with you, I would force people to embrace it by going after government corruption and getting rid of it.
Interesting. Because I had asked this question to someone else, and also pro crypto, and his take was very similar. In fact, that's the reason when I was kind of chuckling. How do you remove the Fed? But then you're thinking the Fed doesn't really have any money, right? It's not it's a private company. It's not even a part of the damn. Sorry, I get heated up too.
Yeah,
It's
not part of the government.
It's not part of the government, and it has way more power than the president or anyone else in the world. So you see that in itself. How is it the politicians? I'm assuming all politicians know of this fault or this issue, but why is it something that continues to be pressed on or utilized, especially when we want to adopt new technologies such as crypto, something that could actually help fiat?
Well, this is where we get into the duopoly, the Republican and the Democrats, right? They control the landscape of the United States. And no matter who's in power, it switches back and forth. So they can point the finger all they want, but they're guiding this train wreck together, right? Mm-hmm. And they control who can get on the ballot. They control who can apply for elections. They can control the money that comes in, and they even get federal money. Those two parties. All the other parties don't. Mm-hmm. So they agree to disagree on certain stuff, but they also agree on stuff that keeps them in power. So ultimately, the Republicans and the Democrats, neither one are going to be pro-crypto, right? The Republicans, even if they're saying they're part of the free market, we already see that we have a number of Republican politicians who are scared of crypto, right? And so they're trying to over-regulate it. Democrats, all they want to do is tax it. So what we're really looking for, the people who are decentralize everything, right? Let's not just decentralize money. Let's decentralize our government. Let's decentralize our school system. Let's decentralize everything from this top-down stuff so that we can pick what's best for our family. And once we do that, that's where we kind of get into the politics of the libertarian and other parties that aren't part of the the regular duopoly of things. But I was during the last election cycle, I was the only one saying, "Hey, let's look at the Fed. Let's interest rates are going up, inflation is killing us." The Republicans and the Democrats were like, "Oh, let's just raise interest rates." Right? That's their that's their answer, is to raise interest rates, which is basically a tax on the poor, right? Because when you raise interest rates, everything goes up for everyone in the lower mid-income brackets, and the people who are rich, they don't even feel it. So this whole inflation is going to suck, but we're going to get through it together. Is only hurting the poor, and it's because we're in a centralized system. In order to get away from that, we need to be in a deflationary and a decentralized environment. I'm losing my voice. I apologize.
I know. I realize that I'm probably asking way too many questions. Actually, I'm gonna read a question. So we had already viewers send us DMs ahead of time for some questions that they would like. So I would like to ask some of their questions, since I was asking just the majority of mine, because we have a politician here that could give us some light into how things are run, in there. But let's see. Okay, so I guess this question here says, let's talk about Shiba Inu. We know you are a holder and part of our immense community called Shiba Army. During the last year, despite the economic markets in critical condition due to the world events and inflation rates and the collapse of large crypto companies, we as a community and Shiba Inu as a project have continued to grow and remain in the top 15. What would you say has been the secret of that growth despite having almost everything against it? And is there anything that you would like to see in that ecosystem that would further enhance it?
Yeah, that's easy. It's community. The entire thing is community. Whether it's Reddit, whether it's Twitter, it is the individual people who probably have only put in a fraction of the money that goes in, but there's so many of them, right? That they have everything free into there. It's the power of the community of the people, and that's something that I hadn't seen across the industry for anyone. In fact, a year ago, I may have mentioned this earlier, at 7:00 on any given night, you might see 20 different SHIB things going on. You might see an ETH, you might see a Doge or whatever, but SHIB was on fire. I was running around with Rowdy and them, and we had like 500-600 people in our spaces. And all we're doing is talking about our day trades and SHIB. Nothing valuable. It's all about the people. Now the thing is why the SHIB Army is I'll still consider it strong, because we have lost a lot of people, right? We don't have all the holders we used to have. A lot of people bailed, but that's nice, right? And here's the good thing, is because these people are going to come back, right? As soon as they see a green rocket on SHIB, these people are going to go, oh, it's time, and they're all going to come flooding back. And I really see SHIB breaking its all-time high and then starting to break into new ground. And in order to get a new all-time high from where it is right now, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money that can be made for the people who have got their dollar cost averages low. I think they're going to be rewarded in the next boom, because SHIB has shown that it's not going anywhere. I mean, we got what SHIBware everywhere. I'm walking around Raleigh and I see other people with SHIB stuff, and it's like they don't even know who I am. They didn't know that they didn't vote for me, but they just see the little SHIB guy, right? And they're like, "Hey."
That's funny.
It's a community that is ready to blow up again, I think, right? Because where's all the other energy? All these little micro codes, be the next SHIB, be the next SHIB. No, why be the next SHIB when you can be SHIB?
Exactly. And one thing that I started to notice more about SHIB and their developers or the team is that they are incorporating the community a lot. They're asking a lot of questions, and the input that they receive, they actually do appreciate, and they are implementing a lot of these things in there. And I feel that that involvement where you have the team and the community working together is very, very fruitful, because it makes you feel like you're almost a part of the ecosystem in itself. But one of the things that I've also realized, and I've been in crypto for a little bit now, and not a lot of the communities out there or other altcoins have 500 to 1,000 projects in line to submit to grow or to build in Shiba Inu. So that in itself, mind you, you still can't even turn in any packages because we're waiting on the wiki. But if they already have had over, I think they said somewhere around 500 to 1,000 businesses, including ourselves, that want to be officially vetted by the Shiba Inu team. So with 5 to 1,000 already available here, and it's not even out, can you just imagine the amount of transactions that are going to be running through all these entities that are going to be utilizing Shibarium and its ecosystem? And at this point that we still have not run. So imagine 5 to 1,000. So say 5 years from now, and the people that have already built in there, they're doing great. But now there's a lot more people that are coming in because the accessibility and the community and the fact that the team is also working together can potentiate this a whole lot more. So I feel like once the metaverse, Shiba Swap 2.0, and what's the other one? It's kind of like a shoot, I forgot the name of it. But anyways, it's kind of like another Amazon for Shiba Inu. And once that opens and everything is in place, this would allow for individuals such as us to create businesses within there and even outside. With that being said, Shibarium burning all these transactions, and it's not just going to be through SHIB. It's going to be when you use Bone, Leash, SHIB, She, and transaction in the metaverse. I see a potential where that number that we're at, something like 543. I don't even know the trillions, quadrillions. I see that number burning down quickly, only because once people start adding more businesses to this ecosystem, all that'll be transacted. So imagine that. Now we got cities like, hopefully, like yours and the one we're doing, where we're hosting events and actually conducting business. I could see Shiba being, if not the most utilized token, it'll be one of the top 3 or a top 5 most utilized transactional tokens. How do you see? What do you think about that in itself?
I foresee businesses. I plan on launching one myself in the metaverse. Right. Once I see the stability there, I don't know what metaverse I'm going to build it in, but I'm probably going to go to Shibarium, and try to actually Peripheral, the movie or the series on Netflix. Right. They're dialed in, they're in their little headsets, and they're in a whole nother world. Why can't I go into this virtual world and actually work virtually and supply a service to someone and change the whole dynamic of our culture and our world, and from the physical to the semi-physical and whatnot. But there's so many things that we accomplish without having to actually physically have something. I can go to USAA, which I wouldn't because they've screwed me over too many times, in a virtual world, and open my account, right? And then I get this NFT with all my stuff. Or I can maybe go buy a car, and then it gets shipped to me in a couple days. But we have all of this opportunity, and it's just the people who are buying the currencies right now they're thinking about whether it's going to go up and down. I'm trying to figure out how all these puzzles fit together and what puzzle pieces are going to be bigger.
Exactly.
Right. And SHIB is it, right? It's up there with ETH. I'm not going to lie. Elon buying Twitter put Doge back in play. I think Doge will die. But with Billy and Elon, Doge will do well. But then you have some of the other tokens and coins. SHIB is going to be top 10. I wouldn't bet my kids on it, but it'll probably crack top 5.
I got a troublemaker that I might put a bet on that, but just kidding. No, but and that's the thing. I feel so strong about Shiba Inu, and And obviously, I'm not just in Shiba Inu, but it is my preference, is where I want to build because of the tools being provided. And not just that, but my family, even my kids are vested into Shiba Inu, and they
Like
create stories.
wallets.
So for me, it's, yeah, you want to look at the business aspect of things. Can you grow? Can you build something? Can this be sustainable? Can you live off from this? And so investing in itself, if you're not good at it or you don't have the funds to, that could be hard to do. But now we have another option. We could actually build something within its ecosystem, and because Shiba Inu is also providing a fund from the Shiba Eternity game, the possibility to actually, be funded if it's something that's vetted. So I have not seen projects that have been this accommodating after just a short 2-year cycle and still be in the top 15. So this to me is a testament of how strong Shiba Inu is. And so as a family and all my relatives, everyone that's involved, this has been one of those assets that I feel confident speaking to. And even after Thanksgiving, which still the market's down, and we had asked, they asked us quite a few questions regards to FTX and how are we doing. It is still one of those assets that I don't feel worried about. Like, I continually add to it, and it's just a matter of time. We know that what's going on right now would not have been the normal transition of a stock market, or how, you invest in. We had the Rona, we had the this, we had the that, and all these aspects affected crypto. Had that not been in play, or these inflation rates, or all this stuff going around the world, we could possibly be seeing 8 to 10% adoption of crypto by this time. We would not certainly see Bitcoin when it went down to 15 something. It would have probably been closer to 30 some, which also, if you remember, Shiba Inu had gone up, 30-40% right before things started coming back down. So imagine that would have probably propelled itself up and bone. So these are all factors that had not been because of its actual token or coin. It's been outside factors. So that's where I feel like it's going to be a really positive thing right after this qualm per se. But that's what I think. What do you think about in regards to crypto in the near-term future? And we're going to start wrapping it up soon, because I know that I could keep going for hours, especially when I'm getting good intel. But yeah,
Well,
it's
one of the things I kind of wanted to mention is that while SHIB has been breaking in and out of the top 10, it's typically surrounded by coins, right? SHIB is a token. So when you're going up against Crow, when you're going up against Doge, when you're going up against Bitcoin, I mean, these are whole blockchains, right? So to be in the blue chip arena with those coins is a huge accomplishment. It's something that other tokens haven't been able to touch at all. I mean, nobody has even, they're like, oh, it's the next SHIB, but nobody's really been even close to the adoption, what's the term? Just like everyone knows who SHIB is, whether they know what crypto is or not, right? They're starting to hear it's breaking into the culture, and people got these little dogs and stuff all over. They don't even know where. Some people, I don't think they know where it's coming from. The Shiba Inu emblem. So we have a lot of adoption and stuff. But what's exciting is that from a token aspect, you're going against corporate coins like crypto.com, right? That are spending money and millions into like the arenas and stuff like that. And all SHIB has is like the SHIB team, Shy and them, just cranking out code, trying to make their smart contracts, coming up with bone and leash. I mean, they are single-handedly keeping themselves in the mix with people who are spending millions of dollars. I'm impressed. And if that's not enough to get people over, then they're just not paying attention.
absolutely.
I have another question for our community. What do you think about our sons? They enjoy in the future this hard work of us inside crypto world? It's an utopia or it's a reality, this work in the future for our sons? You understand me?
I think what he's trying to say is that is crypto going to be I guess, adopted and to the point that all this work that we have done for its adoption and for people to understand, will this be available, you think, down the line for our kids?
Absolutely. I think we're at the new internet, right?
Yeah.
Just same thing like in 95, 97, when I was watching the birth of that. I think we're at the same cusp here. And it's going to go well beyond that because now we have the virtual aspects of life. I mean, I can already put my headset on, right, and then watch Netflix or whatever in the metaverse. I've had meetings with coworkers. I work for Microsoft. Oh, I don't know if people know this, but my whole paycheck gets converted to SHIB every payday. It gets out to Robinhood. Robinhood converts it to SHIB, and then it says you've been paid. So I'm not. I mean, this is. I'm not just, saying the word.
Your leader.
Yeah, right.
And sometimes it sucks. Like when the FTX news came out, my paycheck was only worth half as much.
That was because I do the same thing too. I get paid by the government as well, due to my military background and my rating, and I get that converted to SHIB as well. And yeah, those 2 or 3 hits were, yeah, they actually did hurt a little bit, but
Right. But yeah, that one I was like, shit.
I'm gonna ask you another question in regards to and this is a little bit more off topic, but it's still a good question by this user. It says, what nonprofits or programs do you support or would like to support, and why?
Some of the nonprofits I currently support, I work with the Coast Guard Auxiliary. I also work with the Marine Corps Cyber Auxiliary. I work on their cyber team. I work with the U.S. Naval Sea Cadets. I'm a lieutenant commander in their organization, to where I run over as the state of people. And I also try to volunteer as much as I can with any of the veteran communities. But one of the big things I'd like to do is create a homeless veteran fund through crypto that takes all my brothers and sisters off the streets.
That's amazing. So I've been going to over here where I live in Riverside. There's a VA hospital. It's called Loma Linda Medical Center, and actually take that back. It's now called Jerry L. Lewis or something like that. They changed it, but I've been getting treated there. I had back surgery and some other things due to the military. But as I was going almost on I would be there at least 15 days out of a month cycle. And so I started speaking to a lot of vets, and even younger vets that are injured or and are struggling financially. And I remember when I got my back surgery, it was in December 20 something. Shiba Inu, or the market at that moment, had come down, and it started to kind of come back up. And I invested in several because I was going to be going under surgery, and I didn't want to have to be looking through all that stuff. So I picked 5 stocks that I'm like, if I'm going to be here for 1 week, screw it, So I did. Shiba made me quite a bit of money then, and some other ones. And the people that were there, because I was sharing a room with 2 others, they were kind of listening to me speak to other people and teach them about Shiba Inu or how to go about fixing something. And so they got interested, and they started asking me, wait, what do you do for a living? So I started speaking to them about crypto, and I explained about Shiba Inu, and I even showed them my wallet. And at that moment, I kid you not, they're both like, no. So one of them was actually a lieutenant general, retired already, but he has these events at the it's like a USO type building over here, but he has these on Thursdays he has these seminars, and it's about financial literacy. And so he had me come over several times to explain cryptocurrencies and its fundamentals and its technologies, and particularly I spoke a little bit more about Shiba Inu, and they were all ecstatic about. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to do that much anymore because I'm still healing from my back and other things, but I would like to get back into a cause like that, especially because it does make a difference. You're educating a part of our demographic that has struggled, seen some shit that most people have never seen, and sometimes your brain will not function as good because of what you got going on and what you're thinking about that passed through your life. So I think that's a huge thing, and I would totally support something like that, or even start something like that in this area where we start growing, throughout the United States. So I feel like Shiba Inu can really, and crypto in general, can really do a lot for nonprofits. In fact, even in the medical industry, imagine you, instead of having to go to the doctors now, you put on your VR and you give your symptoms to your doctor. And so now he prescribes the medication, and at the very least, you have to go pick it up or it gets mailed to you. That service, that bottleneck that we've been having on hospitals could be solved utilizing these technologies. And so it could be of great use.
Near Durham for over a year, and right like the day of or the day before they cancel, and then I have to like resubmit, and it takes another 3 months or whatever. But I have a service connected injury with my shoulder. It's trashed, blowed bicep. My whole arm is just barely hanging on. But it, and
I believe you got cut off there.
don't. And then, just
All right.
I had the public medical care, trying to get things taken care of. But, it's just we're disposable at that point. But that's a whole nother topic.
Well, we'll continue these topics. I'm just kidding. But no, I feel very strongly about crypto. And one of the things that we would like to do is, again, education. Education is the simplest form of help that we could provide. But if more of us start learning this, and we have people like you in place of power, then maybe we can influence, especially when it comes to voting. It's actually going to be one of the most important things to do from here on out. We already know how the government can be manipulative when it comes to our assets. And so we need to start taking control of our own decisions and our own financials. So, and all that only comes from education and learning how to go about to become independent and not depend on a system that is archaic or legacy. So with that being said, is there anything that you would like to finish off and explain to us? It could be a view of yours or something that you would like to implement if you become a seat in an office. What are your visions, your goals for the future, and when it comes to crypto?
I would like to do is promote the education over regulation, not overly regulate the market, but make sure that things like FTX don't go unhinged, because that really hurts the market, the individuals, and just the trustworthy of individuals like you and I. I mean, they're like, oh, you're in crypto, then you're
Yeah.
shady. So
You're
it's up to us, as community members to identify with people who find us trustworthy, and just kind of share our message. I think with your veteran message and reaching out, that's a beautiful plan. If you get that moving at all, just call me, and I'm all in. I'll do whatever it takes. Because that's the beauty of, I think, where crypto's going. It's the fiat system is so manipulated by our governments, by the rich, by the Fed, right? The only way we can have a market that's in the power of the people is to have a decentralized market like Shiba Inu, right? And why Shiba Inu over some of the other ones? Well, it's the name brand, right? Everybody already knows it. We already know it's going to explode. It's got utility on top of it. And it also has that sliver of hope for the 1 cent dream, right? These are people that are across the world, whether it hits 1 cent or not, if it hits a half a cent, these people's lives are changed, right? If it hits a quarter of a cent, their lives are changed. We're talking about monumental change on something that can mathematically happen, right? Once we break the 5%, once you get 10 and you look at what the market cap can actually be, and you do the math, and then people are like, well, show me how it can work. I've done the math. I did the math before I got in it. That's why I got in it. So, do your own research is bullshit. You got to do your own research, but nobody tells you how. I've written a couple articles on that, right? On what to actually look for. People are like, oh, go do your own research. You're like, oh, what do I look for? Well, you look at market cap, you look at utility, you're going to look at, if it's decentralized, or if it's owner renounced. You got all these different things that are extremely important and all apply to SHIB. What people don't realize is SHIB is completely decentralized, and Shy and them are working on top of that to build the other stuff, right? But SHIB itself is it's a deflationary token, and they're not minting anymore. And so that's where the bone, the leash, and that whole ecosystem comes in. And it's amazing when you look at it in its holistic approach. But it also takes time for people to see that, right? You don't just come into crypto and go, oh wow, look at the stars, right? You're like, first, oh my God, am I gonna make any money? Oh my God, am I losing money? Oh my God, is my wife gonna leave me? Right, that's the first stage. And then you're like, oh my God, I went through a bear market and survived. Oh, I'm good, right? And oh yeah, I can handle a dip. In fact, dips are where I buy more, right? And it's an evolution. And when you finally get to the throw it all at me, I don't give a shit. Now you're in control of your finances, and especially now with the only, I gotta say that if we haven't bottomed yet, I'm not, as far as SHIB is concerned, we've already bottomed. I've seen it. We hit it. We're not going back down there again. So this is minting time, right? This is where you put the cash to the tokens and you start accumulating. And if you get 2 billion before it shoots up, you're going to be a winner. All there is to it.
Right.
I had 2 billion time. I had to sell it off as it went down, but that's my goal. I'd love to buy 2 billion SHIB before the next. So, by the way, I don't want the market to boom in January. I want enough time to be able to buy 2 billion SHIB
Exactly.
before the market goes up.
But see, that's
I'm done. Right?
and that's the wise, patient investor. But for those that are not, especially the young people, that because they saw what it could do to people that invest, I've come to see that a lot of new investors put in their $200-300, and the first thing they do the day after, when Moon or when Lambo. See, people that invest never say something like that. And not only that, you don't even let people know you invest. Or if you do, you don't say the amounts, or you don't put pressure, because they don't understand that you're shooting yourself on the foot. Patience is key when it comes to investing. And for the new or the young that just started, they're actually hindering us. They're actually affecting us. And it's not because it's their intention. It's just they don't know.
They don't know.
And so I feel like that angle is what we should actually, support, which goes back to what I said earlier, the people that are struggling financially or under the means that they're not doing too well financially. And so they're trying to find this outlet, but you can't do it without really knowing. And I think that's in my opinion, one of the biggest faults with blockchain. That adoption curve needs to be implemented more. And if we don't do it more in society as a whole, meaning that includes schools, government, then what is it that you're trying to prevent? You could prevent it, but you're not doing anything. What you're doing is you're actually going through the big companies, and on some of them, you help them or aid them, or the other ones that you don't like or don't support our views, then you go after them. So you're not helping. Help the people. The majority are not the top. Remember, the top 1% are who's rich. The rest are not. So why are you targeting this demographic, which perfect example with FTX and SPF, he's not in jail yet. But if I did that, even while being a military member or serve the country, you best believe my ass will be in jail. So
I'd be in the Bahamas hunting that fucker down.
Exactly. So, but anyways, thank you, Shannon. We need to have you more on, because we could go on for hours. We share a lot of the same views and a lot of the same topics. Is there anything, Ivan, that you would like to ask him before we?
No. As I say in first time, this is a pleasure for ShibaTV. You stay here with us. And one last question. For you, who is a referent or a guy who follow and a person to stay here in ShibaTV next days?
Oh, what he's okay. I know what he's asking. And actually, it's funny. I was going to ask you this as well, because in order for us to grow, you need to have people to talk to, like you, that understand what we're trying to accomplish. And so what he's asking is there someone that you would like for us to maybe talk to or interview, so that we continue these type of conversations for more awareness into crypto? Is there someone in particular that you think would want to talk to us or or conduct an interview with us in regards to this topic?
Yeah. I'd probably have to think about that, because I would want it to be very SHIB. There's a lot of maxis and stuff, for Doge and Bitcoin and stuff, but in the SHIB community,
It's not necessary in chip community. We need
could
we
be
need
it could be
people. We need
like in
people to
crypto,
talk
so
about
big.
decentralization, economy,
Yeah, or
what
politicians.
cybersecurity.
government and legislation, I got a guy for you. He's a Bitcoin maxi. I love him to death. He just ran for governor in the state of Georgia. He lost. He's a libertarian, but he's a brother of mine, and he would be. I would love to hear him get interviewed.
Okay.
There's a couple other people I think in. I was a little. I was a big fan of Steven. Before the whole.
Yeah.
Before the whole army turned on him, he was offering a lot of value, and it was genius in burning tokens with the songs. It was self-publicity, but
Yeah.
he's a fan, right? I mean, you gotta give and take, and he was giving way more. I would love to hear from him now that he's outside the community on what he thinks about. And then, Melissa B.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
a Grammy award singer, heavy in the SHIB, loves it.
Oh,
You know?
we would love a female, especially because it's not that we don't speak to that many females, but they typically are a little more reserved. But if you do have a singer, by the way, which we're hosting Shiba Fest, and if she even wants to take part of that as a message for crypto and whoever else you want, that would be a great.
The back end, and then I introduced them. That one fell through, but I think we're still talking. But yeah, she wants to sing at the Shiba Fest.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, offline, we'll have a little conversation, exchange number,
Right.
and we're going to
Actually,
grow it.
I'll be there. So.
Perfect, man. And it wouldn't be too far from you. But again, thank you. This here, if we continue to do videos like this with people of influence and people that want to make a difference, we can make a difference, even if it's one person at a time. We just have to make this more available to people and educate. Maybe the next time we explain a little bit more why crypto is fundamentally sound, and where it can go, if it's done right and implemented correctly.
It's a hard topic. It's a very
Yeah.
broad topic, right? You have to be patient with people. You have to guide them in. You have to expect that you're talking about their money, right? And religion and money, that's the two things that spiral people up, right?
Yeah.
So you have to, don't try to force people into it. Just educate them, let them make their own decisions, and then they'll appreciate you for it. Also, don't buy a token just because I say it's good, or
Absolutely.
because it's good,
Not-
right?
Advice.
Yeah, just because I can say buy SHIB, but if I'm not giving you an entry price, an exit price, and we're going to take profit, it's not a trade. So, just someone said, "Oh, buy SHIB." Yeah, I didn't say what price it was. So know that too. But also, if you ever really want to understand the trick, I want people in SHIB to understand the trading mindset so that they understand what happens, right? What happens when you hit support? What happens when you hit resistance? What happens when it bounces? What happens when it breaks through? Because there's so much knowledge there in how the financial markets work that most people haven't taken time to understand. right? And they don't know what resistance, and they're saying, when's it going to go up? Well, it can't go up without breaking resistance.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see more SHIB related trading just to show, and that's something that I'm personally working on too, to show people resistance and, hey, maybe we should get out now, or this is when you go in, right? Just to kind of give them more confidence, because I feel like 90% of people are hoping and poking.
Yeah, unfortunately, and it's true. So it's fundamental. Education is a huge thing, and I think the message that we are deriving here is that in order for mass adoption of crypto, it has to be taught. It needs to be educated more, and I believe that it has to start from when as young as your kids, because money is one thing that we don't really learn in school. We don't learn finances. We don't learn how to take care of that money, right? So that's where I feel like the US is lagging behind a little bit. We should have, even from high school, no, shoot, even before that, middle school or even elementary, some notion of understanding what money is and investments and how to look out for these, for these potential gains or losses if you don't understand, the scope of things. But I love it. I love that. That's going to be one of our goals, and that's one of the goals that ShibaTV has set out to do, is to educate, to teach, to also promote, and talk to individuals like you that have such a good mindset in regards to almost anything. And so I would like to continue doing these types of segments whenever you're available. And if you have other parties, then hey.
Every couple months or whatever, we can get together and talk about what's happened and what we see going. And then one of these times we're going to say, hey, we're about to hit an all-time high.
Exactly. or we're gonna come together and be like, let's start this major project that could totally revolutionize how we see crypto, and that would be a great thing, especially with all the things that are coming up, and because a lot of these tokens and coins that got trashed, they deserved, unfortunately, because they didn't have the utility. So now we're going to be left with a little bit less of these bad coins or tokens, but we have a better selection to pick from. So I think if we have the right message, we connect with the right people, and we continue this path, adoption is going to be much quicker than the internet was. Remember, that took like 12 to 15 years to be fully incorporated. We're not there yet. So good things are coming. But
you're right.
Again, I know
Shannon, this is your home, right?
Okay.
Thanks for all. If you come back our TV next week, next months, you're welcome, right?
I appreciate that.
We'll have a few brewskis at Shiba Fest
with everyone.
Our pleasure.
Okay. Well, guys, thank you for watching this segment with Shannon Bray. If you have any questions or would like to see him in the future, you're welcome to send us direct DMs, or you could also leave messages down below. We would like to continue to have these types of shows where we learn something, or we actually focus on talking to individuals that are in parties. Or like what I'm talking about, that is like politicians, musicians, business moguls, whoever is vested or wants to speak in regards to cryptocurrencies and adoption. That's going to be one of our focuses, because we want adoption to happen. And so with that being said, any one of you guys can teach another person, and or have you guys could send us a message or a question, and we'll do our best to get these messages across to everyone, so that we keep crypto growing. That being said, thank you guys for being here at ShibaTV and for watching us.
Bye. Hasta luego, Shibarmi. Ciao.
The awkward silence? I'm just kidding.
No, I think, Sergio, tienes que contar ya.